Welcome to Telly Talk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're enjoying our podcast, please do rate, review and subscribe. It really means a lot to us when you do.
You can contact us on our socials. We're at TellyTalkPod on Blue Sky and on Facebook. And you can email us at tellytalkpod@outlook.com.
So this episode, we are recapping Gavin and Stacey, Season 2, Episode 4.
I can't believe we're already that far in.
I know, but it's... Well, I was looking at it and I thought, oh, we're over halfway. And actually, there's 7 episodes this season, plus a Christmas special.
So we'll be over halfway after this one.
Yeah, because last season, Season 1, there was only 6.
So track it, listeners. Once we get to about halfway through the episode, that's when we're halfway through the season, if you don't count the Christmas special.
Yeah.
For those that are keeping tally.
I don't think anyone's doing that. Anyway, episode description.
Mick becomes a minor celebrity while Stacey and Gavin go house hunting. House? Nessa visits Stacey, and tensions between the newlyweds come to a head at the bowling alley.
Oh, yes.
It's the beginning of the misery.
Yes. But the first thing we talk about is...
Stacey doing a TV workout.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Oh, TV workouts. Are they still a thing?
I don't...
It's
They're
like,
YouTube, aren't they, now?
I guess so. Yeah, everyone's got YouTube on their telly or some equivalent,
Or
right?
their phone, or their tablet,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Have you ever done a TV workout from a VHS or a DVD or something?
Yeah, of course.
Have you?
Yeah. The first time, though, this is hilarious. You're going to love this. The first time, me and my friend just watched it. Because we didn't want to commit if it was going to be too difficult.
We didn't want to commit.
I know. We were quite young, you know. We were teenagers. My mum walked in and she was like, that's not how you do it. We just sat on the sofa with a cup of tea.
Which vague celebrity was it?
Do you know, I can't remember.
I like in the UK it was like there was like I don't know, Davina McCall.
Yeah, I think it was Davina, actually.
She had a big range of them, but like sometimes they were really obscure people. I swear Carol Vorderman probably did one. She did one of everything.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I do think on the DVD cover, I think it was Davina wearing purple, like pale purple.
That seems to be the colour, doesn't it? Like active purple, yeah. I love. I've never done one. They weren't really marketed for me, though, were they?
No, they weren't, no. I did actually do some after that. But yeah, that was my first experience.
Yeah, after your little gateway of I just watch.
I just
watch.
Just gonna see what it's all about.
Oh, that's beautiful. But she's interrupted in her like thorough workout by Gavin calling her.
Yeah, but just before we move on, I thought this showed quite a lot of self-motivation on Stacey's part, considering how many job rejections she's had and things like that. I thought, wow, good for you, Stacey, because you have to actually have that motivation in yourself to do a DVD at home.
I do hear what you're saying. My counterpoint would that time be better spent applying for more jobs, as opposed to just going, I've heard there's a job going at the zoo, wouldn't that be immense?
Well,
she hasn't even applied for it, she's just heard of one. So yeah, because Gavin calls to be like, have you got a job yet? Yeah. Basically.
What you doing?
Well, to be fair, is I guess an exercise, I was going to say DVD, but it might be a VHS, whatever. Like, that is better than just sitting in bed.
Exactly. We have improved on the last episode.
Yes, that's true. Obviously, she was like anything to prevent Pam trying to take me to taekwondo or fencing or any of the other things where I might get whacked.
I did feel sorry for Stacey though, because they're talking about the plans for that evening and she's quite keen to go to the cinema and he says, oh, let's just have a quiet night in, and she's like, okay.
Well, I'm sure she is keen to go to the cinema as someone who isn't earning any money.
Yeah, but like that's her opportunity to get out of the house, isn't it, when Gavin's home? Because she doesn't know anyone.
No.
And I did feel sorry for her.
It's a good place to go and get to know people, isn't it?
All right.
As for the pictures. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Like, she's really excited about the idea of a job at the zoo and everything. It just felt really teenagery.
Yeah.
And that might just be because I'm an old man now, because they're in their sort of late
20s.
20s, so maybe that's normal.
No, I think they're meant to be in their early 20s.
Okay, so maybe the whole, like, wouldn't it be immense to work at a zoo might be a bit more normal than I'm thinking. Because I was just going, that seems a bit childish.
Also, I don't think they have a zoo in Barry, so this might just be her only opportunity.
Oh, God, how bleak would the Barry Zoo be?
Anyway.
Credits! And then we're greeted back from the credits by Pam shouting at us.
Oh my God, she's so excited.
Pam is being extra about Mick being on the telly.
Yeah. And we think it's going to be something really good because they don't say why. They do not say why.
That's true.
They're all just super duper excited.
But there is more excitement around this than when Gavin and Stacey got engaged.
Yes.
I'd just like to point out, Mick being on the telly is such a British thing.
And they're phoning round to all their friends, telling them 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Don't miss it.
Bryn runs in, out of breath, going, "You'll never guess what I've heard."
Yeah, to the Barry crew.
Yeah, and they've already heard.
They already know. They're planning omelettes for dinner and they're going to eat them in front of the telly.
It's really interesting, isn't it, actually? Because we've seen this multiple times whereby the rumour mill or the word of mouth goes round. But it's mirrored on both sides of the Gavin and Stacey thing. Like, they're both just as gossipy as each other.
Yeah.
It's just interesting.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Even Smithy already knows at work.
Yep.
It's just nice. And then we cut to Dawn arriving at Pam's with champagne.
Oh, I was going to say, actually, that this word of mouth spreading reminded me of the brunch. That seemed to spread like wildfire. This is even more.
Yeah, even more, because this is actually interesting.
Yes, yeah.
It just goes to show that the amount it spreads is equal to how interesting it is.
Yeah. So yeah, as you said, Dawn arrives with champagne.
Oh yes, and Mick's all over the radio.
Yeah.
And it thus begins an on-running thing about him being 53 and that being a load of old nonsense.
Yes, because she says, they called you 53. That's a joke, isn't it?
How old is he meant to be?
I don't know. I would go in his 60s.
Yeah, mid to late 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was going to go early 60s.
63, not 53.
Yes,
Maybe.
yeah.
But yeah, it's really funny that it's an on-running thing with stuff where you get the same thing commented on by multiple characters.
Yeah, because Dawn comes in and says about the 53 thing. Then Gavin arrives home and he's also heard it on the radio.
And Pete and Smithy. And,
Yeah.
yeah. And they do this with other stuff in other episodes. I just like it's a constant thing.
Yeah, I
everyone
like that.
hammering the same thing.
Yeah.
And then
we go over to Barry.
yes. Oh, Barry. It's the best day of Bryn's life.
I know. Bless him.
I don't know. I love how, like, you know how Pam is extra, like super extra?
Yeah.
I feel like Bryn is equally as extra, just in a slightly more subdued way.
Yes. Yeah.
He's so dramatic, but in a sort of chilled way. It's weird.
Yeah. I think it's because he doesn't have some of the pitch and maybe
Energy.
not as much energy. Yeah. Yeah.
He's more beaten down than Pam.
Yeah.
No
but
one can beat down Pam.
Yeah. Gwen, Nessa and Bryn are all talking about being on TV and Nessa seems very informed and then we find out why.
Yeah, she's been on a photo fit on TV. And I initially was like, well, this is another one of her tall tales that's nonsense. But Bryn's like, I remember that.
Yeah,
it was terrifying.
Yeah, it was such a good likeness. It was terrifying. And she said it was so good I had to shave my head.
So that means that this is true. Like, this happened. Because there's another character that's like, yes, this occurred.
This occurred,
I'm
yeah.
like, now I don't know what's going on.
What
Up
did
is
she
down.
do?
Well, and how true are all of her other stories? What's real and what's not?
I know, but they do this, don't they? They sprinkle in enough verification that you do question everything.
I'm having an existential moment, so I think we should move on, as they do, to Mick arriving home and being greeted by Pam.
Yes?
And she's very excited, and he seems a little bit like, ha ha ha. And then Pete arrives and is pretending to be security on his bike, which is quite sweet.
And then the neighbours across the street yell over, oh, we're recording it on our recording box.
Yeah, and Pam desperately wants to get away from that conversation.
Yeah.
They start waffling.
Yes.
And that made me feel old, because they're waffling about DVR boxes, you know, like the old Sky Plus back in the day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she just shuts the door on their
I
face.
know.
We've all wanted to do that.
I was looking down at that moment and I heard the door slam and I was like, no, she did not. Oh my gosh, she did.
I identify with it because I've always wanted to do that at some point, but I've never been rude enough to do it. But I love that they just go, yeah, that's going to happen, schlam.
Yeah.
Obviously not before Dawn managed to piss all over Pete's chips when he was pretending to be the security, and she yells through, tell him to grow up.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Pete.
I do think somewhere in all of this, they mention that he found a body. Because I think someone asked Gavin and he says, oh, he found a body. No one seems to care that he found a dead body, and that is why he's on the news.
Well, and as we discover later, it was chopped up and burnt.
Yeah. He found a dismembered body,
Yeah,
and people are just so excited that he's on the telly. They don't even care about why.
To the point where they cheer a dead body.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's that disassociation.
Yeah.
It's
A
fascinating.
little bit of fame.
There's something about like a social anthropology commentary here somewhere.
Yeah, that's not for us.
No. But thanks. So they all sort of sit in the living room. They discuss house hunting and first houses and all of that.
Yeah.
And Pete gets really intense, and it gets really bleak really quickly.
Yes, it does, because they're waiting for the segment. It's going to be the third news item, so they've got some time to chat. And as you say, it gets very dark. Because Pete finds out that Dawn bought the champagne.
Yeah, and he's very upset because they've had conversations about they haven't got the money for him to play golf at the weekend, but then she's unilaterally gone out and bought loads of champagne.
Yeah.
And I think this, again, it's quite a nice bit of indirect building of a relationship in this. Like, you get an insight into their lack of communication and the problems that they have and why they're at each other all the time.
Yeah, and the equity between them, or lack thereof.
In what is kind of almost a throwaway scene. I think it's really well done. That's how they build the strength of these relationships. They sort of give hints, and then you just layer on top of it.
Well, what's lovely about this, the Pete and Dawn situation, is obviously they go on a journey as much as the other characters do, and the audience is let in on this. And it's moments like this that builds up to those bigger things and lends them some credence and makes them feel believable.
Yeah, absolutely. And the news show starts, and so everyone starts to get a bit excited.
Yes.
And we get the point where everyone goes, yay, the murder, yay!
Yeah, it's finally being talked about on the telly.
And the Barry lot start to talk about stars in their eyes.
Yes.
So, for anyone that doesn't know, this might be a British thing, I don't know. Stars in Their Eyes was a show where you went on the show and sang and impersonated a famous singer. Did you ever watch Stars in Your Eyes?
Yeah, of course I did.
Who would you be on Stars in Your Eyes?
Hang on, this is going to take some thinking. I don't want to waste my opportunity. I don't know. Who would you be?
Oh, I don't know. I can't sing.
Right.
I don't know. Michael Jackson.
Okay.
I can remember the words.
You're not putting as much thought into this as I am.
I'm just much more decisive than you. Also, I've had time to think.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go with Sarah Bareilles.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because I really like her Brave song.
Good times.
I don't think I'd be very good at singing it.
I feel like that might be a bit niche for the show. They might be like, who's that person?
Alanis Morissette, then.
Oh, God. Two very similar singers.
All right, fine. Lady Gaga.
Well, now there's a thought.
Okay.
Meat suit and all.
Let's move on.
Pam is on the phone as Mick is being asked by the group about the body and the state it was in and everything.
Yes, and this is where we get to hear a bit more about the gruesome details. Poor Mick.
Poor old Mick. He seems pretty chill about it, but no one's worried that he might be traumatised.
No,
He seems just like, meh.
Yeah.
Stacey then nips off to have a snack from the fridge and Gavin follows.
Yeah.
And she is, again, feeling down and feels inadequate because exciting things are happening to Mick. And she just feels isolated and alone and not much use.
And she says to Gavin that I'm just feeling a bit homesick. And he loses all patience with her. Now, I do feel sorry for her, though. She's been ripped apart from everything that she's ever known. And the one person that she's got in this new environment is completely dismissing her feelings.
I agree, but to play devil's advocate on Gavin's side, she is insufferable. And so you get the impression they've had this conversation a lot.
Yes, but it's not like she isn't trying. You know, she's trying to get a job. She's trying to look at these places to live. And it's not going her way. I do think that if she'd found a job, this would be much easier for her.
Yeah, and to be fair, it is easy for Gavin to be like, I don't know why you're so upset about being away, when he's not had to change at all.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I will concede some empathy towards Stacey. I think she's insufferable and I don't like the way she deals with things, but she is reasonable for being upset.
Absolutely.
So don't say I don't accept things like that.
Then we have a bit of a tonal shift.
Yes.
Because Smithy comes in.
Virtually kicks in the door.
Yeah, he's very excited, but then I think, was it Pete asks him about the baby? And he goes very serious.
Yes.
Things are very serious when he's talking about the baby.
Well, you say very serious, but he forgets all of the relevant words, and so there's a bit of a series of charades where he's like, the thing, and they go scan, and he goes, yeah, and they go baby.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's not serious in terms of comedy, but his tone goes from high excitement levels to, oh, yeah, this is important.
Business.
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't registered that.
No, I know, that's why I'm pointing out.
How did you know I hadn't noticed that?
I don't know, it's just not the sort of thing you notice. Mick's appearance on the news finally comes on the telly.
Well, it's the last thing you expect to find when you come into work in the morning. Done.
And that's it. That's it.
Everyone is underwhelmed. Not as much as Bryn.
He says that was bitterly disappointing.
And he's so down, slunched, sad, grey.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, Bryn, my man.
I know. And then we go back and Mick's saying, what? I talked to them for at least 15 minutes. Pam goes off about, she's on the phone again. Oh, we was talking to them for half an hour. I don't know what this is about. And then we go back to Barry and Nessa's very calm going, yep, they would have talked to him for at least 15 minutes, if not half an hour.
She's right.
It's totally expected. And because she used to work for the BBC in their news department.
I don't know who Kate Adie is, but they don't seem to like her.
No. Oh, Kate Adie.
They're all like very selfish.
Yeah.
Selfish,
yeah, that's what they say, isn't it?
What I also enjoy is you got a little bit of an insight into Mick as well, because you see Smithy go, oh, they've made you look like a right tit. And he's just sat on there going, yeah. He's really chill about it in a way that I don't think many of the other characters in the show would be. Because he's got that level of self-confidence, like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he also said that, you know, he said some lovely words about how his heart goes out for the victim and her family and all this. And of course, they just cut all of that.
What was interesting as well is, I don't know if you were listening in the background because obviously you get all the reactions, but in the background, the TV are interviewing the lead investigator.
Yes.
And they just like, what about this? Do you know anything about it? And he goes, I'm afraid I can't give any statement at this time. And they're like, thanks. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So they completely cut that as well.
Yeah.
It's just a nothing burger of a report.
Yes. Yeah.
So we cut to Mick prepping the lamb and everyone taking turns impersonating him.
Yes.
And again, he's really chill about it.
And what I loved about this is that they're all slightly misquoting him because they're making fun and it feels more genuine. Like, people don't always get it right, do they, when they're replaying something?
And when he was doing his impersonation, Gavin was doing a slow version of the robot arms.
Robot, yeah, I saw that.
Just beautiful.
And then we get into some very boring conversation.
I thought that this was so identifiable because this is how fellas talk when they talk about such mundane things.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I just wrote, this is boring.
Yeah, it is. But that's the funny thing is, like, it's so mundane and basic, but it's treated with a weight and gravity that is so true.
Yeah.
Like, even down to Pete goes like, can I ask you a personal question?
Personal question.
What the hell is coming here? And Mick's like, yeah, okay. And he goes, where'd you get the oven gloves?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever, for any period of time, done without oven gloves and just used a tea towel like a heathen?
Yeah, of course. This is the thing. So I made notes on this.
Of course you did. Of all the things. I did too.
Because Pete is talking about his oven gloves that Dawn got him and they sort of burned through after a couple of uses. And then Smithy's like, so what you on now? Tea towels?
Oh,
and he's like, yeah, and he goes, yeah. And he goes, you're a fool. See this blister here? That's tea towels.
Yeah. But that's the thing, we've all done it. I'm sure when we were students, like, what student has oven gloves, for example? You did. I bet you did.
I did as a student.
Of course you did, Liv. Of course you had oven gloves.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I spent a lot of time with my granny growing up and as an adult, and she's never had oven gloves. I, in fact, gave her some a few years ago. But I grew up with her using tea towels. And so for a while, I would also use tea towels, but you get a slightly wet one. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That hurts so much.
Because of like the energy transference and
Yes.
stuff. But honestly, that heartfelt story about you having that passed on from your granny and everything does rather undercut my attempt to take the mickey out of you for it. So thanks for that.
You are welcome.
So let's move on like the show does, and we see Pam and Dawn having a right old gossip about Stacey.
Yes.
And Pam acknowledging that she's too deep into the vegetarianism stuff to come out of it.
Yes.
And Stacey arrives overhearing slightly and asks what they were talking about and presses them enough that Pam really throws Dawn under the bus.
Yes, she does.
I loved it.
Yeah, because she goes, we're just talking about the threesome situation.
Well, because Stacey questions, doesn't she? Like, is it about the three-way? Because you can talk about it. And so Pam is like, yes, that's my out.
Yeah. And what's nice is Dawn then does talk about it, and she refers to having a few more irons in the fire, and then Stacey goes, is one of them Mick?
And they all look horrified.
Yeah.
But I love that it does bite Pam on the arse. Karmic victory.
Yeah.
So then we see Nessa. She's at Gwen's dining table, rolling her shoulder and looking in pain. No? Oh, no, I cut a whole bit. So we move on to Pam and Mick discussing home improvements.
With the RSJ, the rolled steel joist.
Joyce?
No,
Who's Joyce?
not Joyce. Joist.
This is so identified because she's just gone, oh yes, an RSJ. Do you know what that is?
No. But there's a whole thing because ultimately Pam barges into the bathroom while Stacey's in the shower to measure the room.
She basically kicks that door in and just barges through.
Yeah, don't mind me, Stace.
Thing is, like, I don't know whether I think she was unreasonable there or not.
How long has Stacey been in the shower for?
Well,
That determines whether this act was reasonable or not. Also, though, just lock the door.
Well, yeah, there is that. Maybe they don't have a lock on their bathroom.
Who doesn't have a lock on their bathroom?
Possibly Pam and Mick.
Yeah.
If ever there was a house that didn't have locks on the bathroom, it would be Pam's house.
But poor Stacey.
I don't
Poor
know.
Stacey.
Okay. But yeah, they measure. I have to comment on their measuring technique because that tape measure was so bowed. That measurement is useless. They measured 5 meters 8 or whatever. That's easily actually only about 4.5 with the bowing. So their measurements are well off.
Though the builder's going to have to remeasure it.
Yeah, no, never trust Pam's measurements.
No.
Not a chance. So yeah, that was a thing. Tape measure etiquette.
Yeah, then we go back to Barry.
Yeah, and Nessa is in pain at the dining table, rolling her shoulder.
Yeah, and I think it's Gwen offers her an omelette.
Well, she asks for an omelette, and Gwen says, "I'm already cooling one."
Okay, yeah.
And then later, in bare moments, it's going to be turned around to Nessa going, "Well, we're talking about an omelette. What's going on there?" Like demanding.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Poor old Gwen.
I need to hit the road. I want this omelette.
Poor old Gwen.
And Bryn comes in. He's been rewatching Brokeback Mountain. I say, again, you watched it twice yesterday.
But that Heath Ledger is just so good. It's on the nose as a thing. But yeah, fair play to him. Every scene is like a photograph. And they're heading off. And we see Gavin and Stacey driving to view flats. And I thought it was really well done, this, because when you see that they're having a little chatter about it, and then as they're pulling up in the car, Stacey's all excited, beaming, and she turns and looks out, and you see her face drop, and she goes from excitement to apprehension and concern.
These are not nice flats.
No. Again, house hunting is a loose term. They're looking at hovels.
Oh,
But yeah, before all of that, they get shouted at from the roof as Smithy and Dino are fitting a satellite dish.
This is our first introduction to Dino.
Oh, I love Dino. Also, the actor also seen from TV UK's The Ghosts.
Yeah, the ghosts.
The Ghosts. El Ghosts. But yes. Yeah, it's quite an interesting chat because they start sort of chatting back and forth and Dino is introduced as being a bit dim.
Yes, actually, he and Smithy make a very good comedy team together because all of a sudden Smithy's the intelligent one.
I know. I was just going, how? How has this happened?
Yeah. And they move on to discussing things of a sexual nature.
Yes, and I enjoyed the sort of social commentary here of how it's okay for the lads to discuss cracking one out, as they put it. But as
Yeah.
soon as Stacey sort of joins in, everyone's like, whoa, I don't like it.
Gavin's face when she said she did 5 that morning.
Yeah. He's like, what? I enjoyed as well when Dino first pops his head up. He says, Gavin La?
Yeah.
So he gets that wrong. I love it. Just little subtle things. Like, I think we've set the scene with this fella.
I do like Dino. They've done very well getting him in.
Yeah, he's fun. Comic relief in a comedy show, which is
Yeah.
quite impressive.
Yeah.
Especially when we find out that he won't go bowling because he's afraid of the shoes.
The shoes, yeah.
And, like, no comment on it. No, nothing. It's just accepted. He's afraid of the shoes.
Yeah, so I won't go. I'm afraid of that because Smithy joins in and they
Shoes.
both say shoes at
Nodding
the same
away
time.
like, yeah. And it's just left at that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why? What? How?
Don't think too much about it.
I can't not think about it. But they head off to view the flat.
Yep.
And what a flat it is.
But before that,
Yeah.
we go back to Barry.
And we meet Dave. New character alert, Dave coaches.
Well, Bryn is taking Nessa to the coach. So that is his reason for being in this scene.
Yeah, and I noticed that when they're driving up, you get that weird optical illusion with a car where when it's driving at a certain speed, the hubcaps look like they're going in reverse. And that always weirds me out, and I couldn't focus on anything else because I was just going, why does that happen? That's so weird. So that's my entire output from that bit.
Brilliant, thanks, Ben. That they get there and they're chatting to Dave about his sexual health. Like it's everybody's business.
Yeah, well, apparently it is. But Nessa didn't tell anyone, so that's tidy.
Yeah.
But eventually he gets invited to the barn dance
For Gwen's birthday.
Yeah, under Bryn's sufferance.
He is not happy that Dave has been invited.
Yes, they seem to really dislike each other, and for the time being, we do not know why.
No, we don't know
we
why.
We will find out.
But it's very awkward. Nessa picks up on it. Oh, what's occurring?
All right, calm down.
Well, she says it loudly.
Yes, so did you. Dave still tries to proposition Nessa, but she declines, sensibly.
Yes, and then she says goodbye to Bryn, and what I loved about this is she shakes his hand.
Yes.
It's very formal.
Very, very her. I also enjoy that she absolutely deadpans Dave's joke when she says,
Yes.
oh, it's a secret, keep it under your hat. And he goes, party? What party?
Yeah.
Gwen's.
Yeah.
I just love that. Absolutely pied him.
Yeah.
And then we move on to Gavin and Stacey outside the flat.
Back to Essex.
Yes, she is looking pissed off.
Yes, she is.
And she sounds pissed off.
Yes.
And to be fair, I would be too.
I would be. And then we meet the sleazy estate agent, and I'd be even worse.
If I thought Stacey was insufferable, she seems like a saint compared to this guy.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, and they go in, and as they go in, she gives Gavin such a glare. I haven't been on the receiving end of a glare like that many a time, and ooh, you know what's coming.
But this place is horrific.
It's a studio flat, a large studio flat,
Yeah.
possibly located somewhere like Mordor. It is horrific.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to show him in the bathroom.
No.
So that's good.
Yeah.
A kitchen come wet room.
Well, because he eventually has to show them the bathroom. And Gavin's like, it's just a sink and a toilet. Both of which, by the way, are broken and filthy.
I thought it had no sink, no bath. It was just a toilet.
No, there was a sink.
Was there?
Yeah, it was on the right-hand side. Anyhow. And the estate agent said, because they say, well, there's no shower, there's no bath. And he says, no bath or no conventional bath. How about a wet room cum kitchen?
Is that a thing? Is it a real thing? Are there wet room / kitchens in the world?
Maybe. There are some, or a lot of houses, I think in Europe and South America, have drains built into kitchen floors for easy cleaning.
Okay.
So, because this one does, it's got a drain in the middle of the floor. So the idea is you can completely soak the floor, get it really clean, and then just push the water down the drain.
Seems reasonable.
Job's
then.
a good 'un.
I love that the shower is in the cupboard,
Yes.
not where you expect.
Well, once you've got that drain in place, you could have any room cum shower, couldn't you?
So what I'm hearing is this isn't unreasonable.
In London, in Essex, yes, I think it's unreasonable.
And we get possibly the bleakest scene I've ever seen, where he forces Gavin to pretend to shower Stacey, and they both look so sad
Yeah.
and beaten down.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I want to leave now.
Yeah.
And that is a low point that I think it would be hard to recover from.
Yes.
That feels like breakup time, that does.
Ooh.
Imagine if we'd have been in that situation, you'd have binned me off so quick.
I would not have even gone in that door.
No, you really wouldn't. You would not have put up with that guy's shit.
No, and to be honest, Stacey has a point at this stage because she's talking about getting a 2-bed with a lovely garden in Barry for the same money. And she's right. And when you're young and you can move anywhere, why wouldn't you go somewhere where you can live a fun...
And Gavin is very dismissive of it, like, yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I felt like, one, you're being unreasonable, and two, I have definitely been there as that person being that dickish.
Yeah.
Don't agree. Oh, thanks. So yeah, we then cut to them having a big old row at the bowling alley.
Oof, yeah.
And we cut past a row of bowling shoes, and all I can think is like, how are they scary? What is it about them that's scary?
I think it's
do you think
the
they're going to
feet
jump
that have
up?
previously been in them.
Oh, I was like, are they going to jump up and bite you?
No, it's the germs, Ben, the germs.
Oh, but then why would it not be the bowling ball that's scary?
Because it's people's stinky feet in the shoes.
As opposed to their delightful fingers in the bowling
I don't know
ball.
what to say to you. The shoes are worse.
Okay. What do you think, listeners? Let us know. Which is worse, the shoes or the bowling ball?
It's definitely the shoes.
If you say so.
Anyway, Nessa and Smithy arrive, and Stacey's very open about her anger at Gavin. And she says he'll remain nameless. And then Nessa's like, I reckon she's talking about you, Gav.
I imagine that she is, yes. That's such a classic Nessa thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
That's a bit of a kick in the teeth for you, Jason?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
We had that scene, I was like, I know Liv is going to make a note of that. I don't need to.
Well, they split off, girls and boys. And Stacey's with Nessa, and Nessa's polishing her bowling ball. He hasn't been down the lanes for a while.
I enjoyed her wavy voice while she's running it in the
Yeah, yeah.
And there's just something beautifully simple about the joy of her voice. That's just so Route 1 and timeless.
Well, Gavin is venting about his frustration to Smithy, and as they approach the girls, Stacey asks Smithy if he would like a nickname putting into the bowling screen. She goes, for instance, Gavin's is Knobhead.
Yeah, subtle and passive aggressive, like it. But yeah, when you went bowling as a kid, did you get nicknames on there?
No, we just put our actual names.
Oh, okay.
Right. Did you have nicknames? I never even thought about using nicknames.
I think we usually did have nicknames.
What was your nickname?
I think they just put me as Ben because it's nice and easy.
Only 3 letters anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I was just curious, like, if you had a nickname, what was yours? But it was Liv. Guess also
I'm
easy.
Shut that down. No. No, we just had our names.
This could have been great, but it wasn't because we're boring.
Well, I only really went bowling with family, so it's not really a
yeah.
nicknamey kind of
No,
thing.
that would be an interesting family dynamic. Lovely.
Anyway, we now cut to the end of the game, and Smithy and Nessa are talking.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to work out what she had on the back of her shirt, because there was, in like sequins, she had a word on the back of her top, like a bowling shirt. I could not work out what it was.
Oh, right. I didn't notice.
Wow, fun.
So I cannot help you.
It was a word. Good times.
But Gavin and Stacey are still arguing.
Yes, they are. It's escalated now. It's all out war.
Yeah.
And the casualty is KFC.
Yeah, because Smithy and Nessa are actually doing quite a lot of bonding. He's like, I can't believe you got 11 strikes. And then, Gavin and Stacey are like, we just want to go home. In fact, that's what Stacey says, isn't it? I just want to go home. They get home and they have been to KFC because Nessa and Smithy have their big buckets with them in the back.
Not big buckets. They only got a 6-piece.
9-piece.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, oh well, you know.
Because Pam is very worried about Smithy and his health.
But it's okay because they got coleslaw.
Yeah. Well, this comes about because Gavin and Stacey are arguing incredibly loudly as they enter the house, and Pam and Mick come downstairs. Stacey storms off to the bedroom. Gavin goes after her, and then Nessa and Smithy are left in the hallway with their giant buckets from KFC.
I cannot let this scene pass without without calling out the delightful matching kimonos that Pam and Mick are in.
Yes.
Big pink frilly kimonos. That screams a Pam purchase. And good old Mick's like, yeah, all right, I'll wear the silk kimono.
Don't think he cares that much.
No, I aspire to that level of self-comfort.
Yeah. And then Pam goes to try and listen at Gavin and Stacey's bedroom door. To be honest, I don't think she needed to get that close.
No.
They are quite loud.
I mean, we can hear, but it's such a Pam and Mick thing, isn't it? Pam just going, I'm gonna blow past this boundary, and Mick going, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's an adult, leave him alone.
He's my boy, I have a right to know.
Yes, which he absolutely does not.
No, but again, just go to your own bedroom, you'll be able to hear him from there anyway.
And then we cut to one of the most iconic scenes in the whole of Gavin and Stacey, and it even gets called back in the very last final episode that aired this year.
You mean the bit where they talk about KFC's secret blend of herbs and spices?
I do not mean that.
You
no.
don't? Oh, okay. Is it the discussion about Lucy?
It is not, no.
Oh, what is it, Liv?
It's the corn on the cob euphemism.
Oh, yeah. And I love that he is slow to pick up on what she's putting down.
Yeah. Do you want me to have it?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Is that a euphemism? No. Oh,
Yeah.
Is it?
They're both very breathy in this.
Yes. It's really fascinating, actually. I wonder if they gave themselves a challenge of what the least sexy thing they could try and make sexy was.
And they came up with corn on the cob.
Yes. It's quite impressive, really. It was slightly made even more surreal by over Nessa's shoulder for a lot of the scenes. There's this picture of Stacey, sort of as a younger person, like just her just being like,
Oh,
like,
right.
grinning. Again, I'm just looking at
You're
the stuff in
looking
the
at
background.
everything else apart from what's actually going on.
It's just really, it's just a nice bit of scene here, but it's also a bit disconcerting. And she's like, aha.
I thought you were going to say this scene is sort of made more apparent by the change of music. Because at the point where Smithy cottons on and it feels like this is going to go further, I don't know what the song's called, but the lyrics are, my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes. And of course, off they go.
Yes, unfortunately it's an R. Kelly song, I think, which in modern times is a bit uncomfortable. But the sentiment of the song itself is quite effective.
It is for this moment, yes.
And if we think about it in 2008 terms, then it's fine.
Absolutely fine. So that's it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah, they run off as the credit roll, and
Yeah.
I think they're going to bed.
Oh, yeah. Together.
Yes.
So what are you rating this?
I am going to rate this a solid 4 corn on the cobs out of 7. I almost
You
said
said
5.
out of 5.
4 out of 7.
Okay.
I think it was very good fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Classic, iconic stuff.
But
yeah, but just too much miserable Stacey and the harbinger of doom to come.
I've rated it similar. I've given it 6 out of 10 with a note that there was too much arguing. Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah, because there were fun moments, very fun moments. And as I say, the iconic parts that have even survived the whole of the series.
Yeah, my memory is that in my head, like, this gets really bleak. Surprisingly bleak for a comedy show with Gavin and Stacey for a long time, but it's probably only like an episode or two, and I've built it up in my head.
Yes, because I've always remembered it as the whole of season 2.
Yeah.
Because it does start off lighter, and this episode we really get the brunt of it.
And we can say now we're over halfway through, and we've only just started really properly with it. So at most there's another 3 episodes of it, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it gets solved. So yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, by normal standards, it's an excellent episode, but by Gavin and Stacey standards, we have to mark it down a little bit because they set such heady heights.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could.
Rate and review us on your platform of choice.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Toodle!